What's up everybody, it's JB here from Next Level Nerd, and today I'm going to compare these three 50mm f1.8 lenses. Here I've got the new Canon STM, I've got the Canon 50mm version 2 right here, and I've got the Yongnuo right here. Let's get into it. So the first thing I want to talk about today is build quality. The Yongnuo comes in at the lightest of the three, weighing only 4.23 ounces, followed by the Canon version 2 weighing 4.6 ounces, and then the Canon STM weighing 5.7 ounces. I'm sure most of you know that the Canon 50 version 2 is made almost entirely of plastic, right down to the lens mount. That's how it's got the nickname the Plastic Fantastic. The Yongnuo came out and it's almost an exact copy of the 50 version 2. It's made almost entirely of plastic right down to the lens mount as well. And then the new Canon 50mm STM lens has a much better feel and build quality overall. It does not feel as plasticky as these other two lenses. Even though it's made out of like a plastic, it's definitely a higher quality plastic, and now they've added a metal mount. Another difference on these lenses is the filter thread size. The Canon version 2 has a 52mm thread size, the Yongnuo has a 52mm thread size, and then the new Canon 50mm STM lens has a 49mm thread size. The old Canon 50mm version 2 has 5 blades, the Yongnuo has 7 blades, and then the new Canon STM lens has 7 blades as well. The focus ring was a problem that I know a lot of people have with the old Nifty 50. It's pretty small, it's not that smooth, so it makes it kind of hard to manually focus with. Now on the Yongnuo, I think they've actually improved the focus ring a little bit. It's slightly smoother and has a better feel to it. That being said, it's still not very good for manually focusing. Now on the STM lens, they've greatly improved the focusing ring. It is like butter smooth. It blows the other two lenses out of the water in that aspect. Another new feature of the STM lens that is not on these other lenses is the ability to do manual focus override. And to do that, you need to make sure that manual focus is turned on, press the shutter button down halfway, and then you can adjust the focus. Alright, so now let's listen to the motors on these three lenses. So for that I took my Rode Video Mic Go, I put it on a tripod and just set it a few inches from the lens and ran that back into my 5D Mark III. I've got audio set to manual and I've got it turned down 6 notches to the left. You can see there that the new Canon STM lens just blew these other two out of the water, and it's actually almost completely silent when you're recording video and using autofocus. So we're going to go ahead now and take a look at how these lenses react to touchscreen focus using the Canon T4i, and I've included the in-camera audio so you can check out how that sounds as well. So the STM lens is not only quieter than the other two, but it seems like it was focusing just a little bit faster, with the Yongnuo actually stuttering a little bit. Another change they've added to the Canon STM lens is a minimum focusing distance. On the old Canon version 2, it was 1.5 feet, and on the Yongnuo, it was the exact same with 1.5 feet, and on the new Canon STM lens, it's 1.1 feet. So now let's go ahead and take a look into Lightroom and look at some of the test images I took. So here we are in Lightroom. I've shot all these images on my 5D Mark III. I shot in RAW and I have not retouched the files yet. I used a tripod and had the shutter set to a 2-second delay. I'll be posting a link down below so you can download these RAW files and take a look at them for yourself. Up first, we're going to look at the pictures of the brick wall that I had so much fun taking pictures of to look for distortion and vignetting. We've got the Canon version 2 on the left, the Yongnuo on the right, and we are f1.8 right now. Vignetting is looking about the same on both of them, but the Yongnuo is suffering from more distortion. You can see it start to bow out here in the bottom right corner, in the top right corner. Let's go ahead and zoom in here and look at sharpness, and I'd say that the Canon is winning in terms of sharpness here in the center. And yeah, as we go down here, you can see this right here is sharper on the Canon than it is on the Yongnuo. And let's take a look at this gunk over here for chromatic aberration. And I would say that the Yongnuo edges out the Canon in terms of chromatic aberration here at f1.8. Not by much, just a little bit. Let's look in the corner here for sharpness, and here we go. The Yongnuo is beating the Canon version 2 in terms of sharpness at the corners, at least at that corner. Let's check out a different corner. Let's go up here to the top right, and the Canon is beating out the Yongnuo here in the corner. Let's switch over to the STM, and here we go. They're looking about the same in terms of distortion and vignetting. Let's go ahead and zoom in here and look at sharpness, and I would say that the STM lens edges out the Canon version 2 in terms of sharpness here in the center. Let's go over here and look at this gunk. And for chromatic aberration, I would say if you look right around here on this one and right around here, it looks a little bit better on the STM lens. It's really not a huge difference though at f1.8. What about these corners? And here we go. The STM lens is better than the Canon version 2 in the bottom left corner. And what about this top right corner? And they're looking about the same here. It's really hard to tell. Yeah, they're pretty similar here at f1.8. Let's go ahead and move up to 2.8. We've got the Yongnuo on the right again, the version 2 on the left. Let's zoom in here in the center. And the Canon is definitely sharper here in the center again. And with vignetting, they're about the same. And again, the Yongnuo has terrible distortion here, down here in the bottom right and the top right. Let's go ahead and look at chromatic aberration. And they look about the same to me here, but the Canon is looking sharper. What about this corner down here? And again, the Yongnuo beats the Canon in this bottom left corner in terms of sharpness. And let's go check out the top right corner again. And the Canon beats the Yongnuo here in this top right corner. Maybe there's something wrong with the bottom left corner of my lens. Let's move over to the STM lens, and they're looking about the same in terms of vignetting and distortion again. Let's go ahead and check out center sharpness. And it's really hard to tell, but I would say if you look here in this brick and then here in this one, it looks like the STM lens edges out the Canon version 2. Let's move up here a little bit. And here we go. Here we can see the difference. Look at this brick right here, and then look at this brick right here on the STM. It definitely pops more. And as we go up, the STM lens is a lot sharper than the old version 2. Look at that right here, and look at this right here in the corner. The STM lens kills it. Let's go ahead and check out chromatic aberration. And they're looking about the same, but the STM lens is just slightly sharper there. What about this corner down here again? And again, the STM lens beats this Canon. See, there might be something wrong with this corner on my lens. And up here in this corner, they're looking about the same. All right, let's switch out to 5.6, and this is the last picture of the brick wall you're gonna have to look at. And the Yongnuo again is still suffering from distortion. You can fix that in post, but still. Vignetting is pretty much gone from both the lenses. Let's go ahead and zoom in here in the center. And again, the Canon version 2 is sharper than the Yongnuo in the center. What about over here in this gunk? And they're looking about the same. There's no chromatic aberration that I can see. And they're both looking the same in terms of sharpness, in my opinion. What about this corner down here? Canon's starting to sharpen up, but the Yongnuo definitely beats it with sharpness in that bottom left corner. What about the top right one? And definitely the Canon, you can see, is sharper here with this brick than it is with that brick. And that distortion on the Yongnuo, just not fun. Let's move over to the STM lens. And again, vignetting, distortion about the same on both of them here. Let's go ahead and zoom in for sharpness. If it'll let me zoom in. There we go. Looking about the same here. Let's go up here where we were seeing difference. And here we go. The STM lens is definitely sharper up here towards the edges than the Canon version 2. It's pretty much sharp, almost edge to edge on the STM here at 5.6, and the Canon version 2 gets blurry as it goes out towards the edges. And we'll check chromatic aberration out, and again, it's about the same on both of them, but with the STM remaining sharper towards the edge. Alright, and now let's move on to the next test. I took pictures of this meter. I got pretty close. It's not as close as I could get, but we're going to look for overall sharpness. And here we are at f1.8, Canon version 2 on the left, and the Yongnuo on the right. And right away you can see that the Canon is sharper at f1.8. You can see half foot is pretty blurry on the Yongnuo, and it's pretty decent on the Canon version 2. And we move over to cubic feet here, and definitely very blurry again on the Yongnuo, and the Canon version 2 is looking pretty decent. So let's just skip the Yongnuo and go to the STM lens. And looking about the same here at f1.8. That's a hard call to make. I'll let you guys be the judge of this one. Not really sure what to say there. Alright, let's go move on to 2.2. Version 2 on the left, Yongnuo on the right. And check out half foot. And again, version 2 is sharper than the Yongnuo there. And cubic feet is much sharper, so we're going to skip the Yongnuo there. And now we have the STM lens. And they're looking, now here we go. You can see 100,000 is sharper on the STM than it is on the version 2. It's not a huge difference, but it's definitely sharper on the STM. Here we go, take a look around on cubic feet, and it's about the same there. Really hard to tell. Okay, let's move on to 2.8. And here we all have the, again, version 2 on the left, Yongnuo on the right. And again, the version 2 beats the Yongnuo in terms of sharpness. So I don't know whose tests online were saying that the Yongnuo is sharper than the version 2, but it's not. It is half the price, so it's still a pretty decent lens, but it's not sharper. Especially not at 2.8 at least. So we're going to skip the Yongnuo again, move on to the STM. And they're looking about the same again, in my opinion. Pretty hard to tell here. What do you guys think? Leave a comment down below which lens you guys think is sharper here at 2.8. Looking about the same there. Pretty hard to tell. Move on to 5.6. This is the last one of this test. And now the Yongnuo is matching up with the version 2. They're looking about the same in terms of sharpness here. Let's go over to cubic feet. And again, about the same here. It's really hard to tell any difference now in the two lenses. Let's go and check over here. Yeah, looking about the same there. So we'll go over to the STM now. And again, looking about the same as the version 2. They're really close in terms of sharpness. I mean, the STM edges out the version 2 at times though, definitely. But at least in this test, they're performing pretty close to each other. The next test I did was take pictures directly into the sun to check for flares. The new Canon 50mm STM lens has a super spectra coating, so it's supposed to produce less flares. So let's go ahead and check this out. We've got the version 2 on the left and the Yongnuo on the right. And they're looking about the same to me here. We'll go ahead and zoom in anyway. There's a little bit more going on here on the Yongnuo than there is on the version 2, but it's not a huge difference. And like I said, I'll have a link down below to the raw files that you can download and take a look at these for yourself. Let's move over to the STM. And again, it's looking about the same to me. It's really hard to tell which one has less flares here. You're going to have to download these files and leave a comment down below and tell me which one you think has less flares. So the last thing we're going to compare on these lenses is the bokeh. I shot at f1.8, f2.2, and f2.8. Let's go ahead and take a look at these pictures. I've got the version 2 here at f1.8. And then here's the Yongnuo at f1.8. Here's the STM lens at f1.8. Here's the version 2 at f2.2. Here's the Yongnuo at f2.2. Here's the STM lens at f2.2. Here's the version 2 at f2.8. Here's the Yongnuo at f2.8. And then here's the STM lens at f2.8. Alright guys, time to sum everything up. And in my opinion, the Canon 50mm STM lens is a clear winner here. It has a much better focusing ring and it has a metal mount. But if you're on a budget, you can definitely go with the Yongnuo. It's only about $65. Otherwise, go with the STM lens. Considering these are both the same price, they're about $125. I don't see any reason to buy the version 2. If you guys have any questions, leave them down below. If this video helps you out, definitely give me a thumbs up and subscribe. I'll see you guys later. Peace.